Psalm 114 poetically refers to the supernatural events of the Exodus from Egypt, the splitting of the sea and of the Jordan. In addition to these events mentioned in the biblical narrative, the psalm refers to mountains and hills, skipping and dancing. The psalm then closes with reference to one last biblical miracle, that of water pouring forth from a rock. As a person of faith who grew up reading the Bible, these miracles occupy a very real place in my consciousness. Anyone who heard these stories as a child produces mental imagery at a young age that stays with us and serves as the foundation for later understandings. But something within us changes with age. Our relationship to the miracles we read about as children changes. While as children we picture these stories with wonderment, that childish wonderment is accompanied at that time as children with perfect faith. Children find faith easy. As children, we more readily accept the simple fact that God did these things. That nature is putty in the hands of God who manipulates it at will is easily accepted by a child untainted by the doubts of adulthood. But as we get older, we start to ask questions. How literally do we take this? Did it happen exactly that way? Is it actually possible? And perhaps the greatest question that we ask as believers, what about us? What about now? Where's our water from the rock? Where's our splitting of the sea or our hail raining down on our enemies? Why don't we get miracles like that? I believe that there's two approaches to answer this. The simple answer is that God expects more from us. To introduce God to a pagan world required shock therapy, open, overt miracles. For a society that believed in the unsurpassed power of the forces of nature, the sound and light show of the Exodus was necessary. But there was a flaw in that experience. Nobody chose faith. It was forced upon them. God wants more from us. He expects us to choose Him. As we are adults who outgrow the natural, easy faith of childhood and must live lives of faith on more mature terms, God wants us to find Him. There's another deeper dimension to this idea. The simple definition of a miracle is that it is a departure from nature. That's why we call it supernatural. The rules of nature have been broken. Miracle. While God was performing overt miracles, breaking the laws of nature, splitting the sea, bringing water from the rock, ironically, while God was performing these overt miracles, our faith in Him was perfectly natural. Because if you're witnessing overt miracles, it's natural to have faith. What's more natural than faith in God when you've just seen 10 plagues? The more miraculously God is behaving, the more natural is faith. If it's natural to have faith in God when God is performing miracles, it's also equally natural to have to work for your faith when He's not. When life seems to be proceeding along natural lines, faith becomes a choice that we make. Faith becomes the choice to see through the veil of the natural and see the supernatural. We may be jealous of those who lived in biblical times because they got all the fun, all those great fun miracles. I'm trying to make a children's book out of, the daily news. But Exodus, However, my beloved friends, I'd like to suggest that they should be jealous of us. We have something they don't have. Just as we think about the splitting of the sea and say, wow, What a miracle! That's amazing. Imagine how they must have felt in a world filled with crass paganism when the prophets told them that one day the peoples of the nations of the world would join the people of Israel celebrating Sukkot, or that the people of Israel would return to their homeland after thousands of years of exile. Is that natural? Or that one day all the peoples of the earth would serve God shoulder to shoulder? Or that one day old men and women would sit in the streets of Jerusalem as children played, as Zechariah says in chapter 8? As incredible as the splitting of the sea seems to us looking back, those scenes seemed incredible to them looking forward. How jealous would they be of us who witnessed the fulfillment of long-term prophecies in our days? We have our miracles too. It may be natural not to see them, but our job is not to be natural. Lots of things are natural. Our job, my friends, is to go beyond the natural, to be supernatural.